Most business owners think that in order to be healthy, it's going to take more time, it's going to take more effort that they quite frankly don't have to give. And they think it's going to pull them away from their family and pull them away from their business. But what if the opposite was true? What if by being healthy, you actually improved the quality of every area of your life, including your business and your marriage? Today, we're going to be interviewing an entrepreneurial couple who has proven that to be true. Today, we have Ken and Jackie Swoboda with us, who are the owners of Luxury Landscape in Lincoln, Nebraska, who, by the way, are the top-rated landscaping company in the city. And today, they're going to be talking to us about how, as a unit and as a family, they raise the standard of their health. And as a byproduct of raising the standard for their health, everything else in their life improved. And hopefully they'll sprinkle in some of those secrets that totally optimize how they're running their business and how it really pulled them together as a couple. Without further ado, Ken and Jackie, welcome to Conquer the Day. Thank you so much for being here. We can't wait to hear your story.
Thank you for having us. I'm excited to be here.
It's an honor and a privilege. And obviously, you guys have so much to share, so much that we're really excited to have people learn from because you've had such a wonderful transformation. But I'm curious if you were kind of going back to the start where a lot of this transformation began, where you guys were at the beginning of your journey. How would you describe that? Maybe like a year ago, 2 years ago, before health became a priority, before you really started to change your standard. Where were you at?
For me, I felt like we were just getting by. I felt like we were just getting through the day, getting through appointments, couldn't wait until evening until we could finally just sit and unwind. Our eating habits were absolutely terrible. And even just with like our employees, with customers, I felt like we were just reacting and not being proactive.
We were even to a point where we had so much stress during the day that our comfort was in the food at night. We constantly order out or we'd go out, and it was with really no intention of eating healthy at all. It was like, no, just you need that comfort food, right? And throw a couple of beers in there at the same time. So it was really killing us, literally.
Yeah. And before we started recording, you guys were talking about the level of burnout that you were at as business owners, right? Who are doing this together. So how did, I guess, your choices for your health, how is that impacting your energy, your patience, that level of burnout? What was kind of the connection there?
I didn't have any patience. Poor Ken, I was crabby all the time. And even at the end of the day, we were so busy that at the end of the day, after employees would go home, we finished with appointments, we came home, and our night did not end there. I mean, we would start working on proposals and designs. Ken would have, questions for me. Hey, let's go through this design. What do you think about this, or this? I was always snappy. I was short. And it's like, do we really have to be working on that right now? Type of thing. And Ken would end up tackling it on his own instead of us being, a team, the way that it should have been.
Well, it did. It put stress on the marriage because then I would be resentful of the fact that, why am I working my tail off till 10:30 at night? And even though Jackie was basically in the room, but sitting on the couch, not watching TV or something, but doing something other than working on that same proposal. So, I mean, it became resentful and things had to change, and they did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, and that was pretty much, how long have you guys been in business?
Almost 8 years.
Okay, so it's kind of like in this in-between period where things have grown to a certain point, but you're still, the constraint on the business's growth, and it's still highly, highly dependent on you. And in that season, there's that friction where you have to keep outputting and keep outputting and keep outputting, but there's not any input of how you're taking care of you, right? And as a couple, right, that's even worse, right? Because you got to consider not only you working together, you're also working in life together, right? Which makes it really challenging. What was the moment or the moments that led to the insight that things had to change? Like, so you have all this stress, you have all this tension, the business is growing, but it's, it's almost like friction to get there. When did you start realizing that things had to change in your health and how you were showing up for yourself?
Yeah, what was the pause that broke maybe the loop that you're in?
I think, and I can't answer for Ken, but I remember last year, a little over a year ago, I was just having these thoughts that we can't continue like this. I mean, not only as business leaders, it just didn't feel like we were a team. I mean, we were going through the motions and we were doing, all of the tasks that either, that I normally do, and he was doing the tasks that he normally does, but it just felt like we were just getting through, just barely getting through. And I just remember having thoughts that really this isn't the way it should be. I want to be that power couple within our business and within our marriage. And I did not feel that. And I know that he wasn't feeling that either. So for me, it just kind of started with those thoughts, and those thoughts kept coming back more and more. And so what do you want to add to that?
Well, absolutely. I mean, the first 2 or 3 years of our business were fantastic. We celebrated every $300 job that somebody would have us do. Or,
Yeah.
oh, I can't believe she's going to spend $3,000 on this landscape. And it's like, whoa, let's go.
Yeah.
And we were excited about that. But then all of a sudden, as the business grew and the stress grew along with it, it was just that constant terrible eating that, we didn't sleep well. It was more of I'm gaining weight. And at that point, I'm sluggish. I don't feel like I have the stamina that I used to be or that I used to have. So it was just the struggle. And it's not like we pitted it against each other.
Yeah.
It was just that it was happening for both of us.
Yeah. So then what I know, at least my understanding of the journey, is that Jackie, you made a conscious decision to change. And how did you approach that? This is actually a really important question, because if there's friction between two people, oftentimes we want the other person to change. We're like, well, you got to go do something because you're the problem and you're impacting me. Which is in reality, because you're always responsible for yourself, right? So how did you approach?
Or I also see something that tends to happen in dynamics where somebody doesn't want to change because they don't want to make their partner feel bad because they're doing something else, or they don't want to separate themselves and go do something different from their partner.
Yeah. So Jackie, because my understanding is you went first, right? How did you approach the change without making it about Ken? How did you approach the change and say, hey, I'm going to do this, and give him space or allow yourself to feel good about going forward regardless of what happened?
I made that decision just because I knew that there was so much more that I could offer. But both physically and mentally, I just couldn't, no matter how hard I tried. So I knew that in order for me to be the best version of myself, this was the journey that I wanted to go down. Because if I can show up in the business as the best version that I can, then maybe that would help, with where we were kind of stuck with just communication and running the business together as partners, and even in our marriage too. So that's why I made the decision I really wanted to make those changes and see how I could help.
Ken, how did it feel when she started?
What were your thoughts?
Yeah, what was your experience when she's kind of in that first 1 to 3 months phase?
Or even when she just first told you she was doing it?
I was happy for her because she knew she was making a conscious decision on her own. I have never been one that, I mean, I gained weight. I mean, I used to have a position in the community where I was going to nearly every other day. I was going to a rubber chicken lunch. I mean, it was eating terribly that way. And I'd gain weight, and it was like, okay, well, that's just who I am. Because I never really cared about what my weight was. I did care as I aged, especially as we started our business. What really bothered me is I didn't have the strength that I had even 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And it was really difficult for me to kind of see what was happening with Jackie. But I mean, when I saw the transformation and we would celebrate, she would get on the scale and we would celebrate every 5 pound loss, every 2 pound loss. I lost another 2 pounds today. And we slap hands,
Aw.
we bump fists, we do everything
That's
because I could see it. And then when I was helping her into the project and we would be taking her photos, it was like, whoa, I've never really pictured her as having that much weight on. But it was when we see the transformation and the photos side by side, it was, whoa, you're really doing well. And I supported her in everything she wanted to do at that point.
That's
That's
beautiful.
so special. I love to
So-
hear that. It's rare too, I will say.
Why?
Rare.
I'm curious, Ken, because I think this is an actual helpful lesson of wisdom. Why was it easy, or maybe it wasn't easy, but how'd you get to that point where you just felt like, hey, I'm going to support you regardless of what I'm doing? I imagine it influenced you a little bit here and there, right? You weren't resistant wholly to it, but how did you approach it and feel like, hey, I'm going to support you regardless of what I'm doing before you decided that you were going to jump on the train?
Well, I think it was really more. It was ridiculous. Jackie, I'm the cleaner in the household, and Jackie's the chef. So there was no way that I was going to say, well, I want you go ahead and make whatever meal you want that fits your meal plan, but I still want to do this.
Yeah.
And so we eliminated the drive-in food, we eliminated the delivery food, we eliminated doing a lot of that bad habits of eating. And I chose at that point to eat what Jackie prepared, and it was within her meal plan. And I'm thinking, wow, this really isn't all that bad. She was really good at trying to find ways of even making enchiladas, but healthy enchiladas. And I'm thinking, well, granted, there's not a ton of cheese on this like I used to eat, but it really tastes good. And she came up with all these remarkable recipes to be able to put herself in that position, and I enjoy doing it as well. And then all of a sudden I started seeing that I was dropping a little bit of weight just because I was eating differently, not doing really I wasn't exercising. I've never been one that exercises or works out or anything, but it was just that seeing those results, and it was like supported her 100%.
I want
great.
to, as we're on this point of support, because this is at the beginning, right? Before things become normal,
Mhm.
right? Which is a critical time. I want to ask this to Jackie. Jackie, how'd you feel? How'd you feel having that level of support, having that level of care, knowing that Ken was on board for your progress versus feeling like you had to convince him a bit?
It felt awesome. His support definitely inspired me and motivated me to keep going. But then also even just not physically, but even just mentally, I guess. I could tell that I was changing in my patience levels. I wasn't near as crabby. I was sleeping so much better. Um, I even remember having a conversation because through the fitness project and one of our mastermind calls is the importance of sleep, and getting those 7 to 7.5 hours of sleep. Well, Ken always goes to the office earlier than I do. And when he'd wake up in the morning and then come in the bedroom and change his clothes, it would wake me up. And so then it was, or you would come tell me, you'd kiss me goodbye in the morning, and that would wake me up. And so just feeling comfortable enough to have that conversation with him and saying, I know that you love to come say goodbye to me in the morning when you leave for the office. And I love that you do that. But then when I wake up, I'm awake then, and I'm not quite getting that quantity of sleep that I need. So can we do something different? Well, he's like, absolutely. I mean, he was totally understanding, and he would then leave notes on the kitchen table for me in the morning.
Ken, I'm
And
taking
taking
notes.
That's
And so
fantastic.
it just felt like we were then kind of meshing to become that husband-wife unit and the business partners that I knew that we really were. And it was just a great feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can already see just the avenue of communication that started to open, right? Just as a byproduct of you choosing to change and be better and you choosing to support her. It's like you started having conversations that brought you closer together. That might have been a little hard in the past, right? So, Ken, when did you actually decide to come on board? What was that? Was it a conversation? Was it a like, I can't pick this up off the ground. Don't feel strong. Like, what was the actual point where you were like, okay, I'm in. I'm on board.
Jackie, in her very subtle way, would say, have you ever considered joining the project as well? And I go, oh, I don't know. I've never been an exerciser. I'm losing a little bit of weight at a time, though it's not really as much as I would have preferred at the time. But, we'll talk about it. Well, then I stalled a little bit, and then she go, do you want to at least talk to Brian and just get his input? And I said, yes, I'll talk. And it was really more at that point to appease Jackie. But I was also seeing the great results she had. So I was like, well, this might be the no-brainer then for me. I've never done this type of thing before. So why not give it a try? So I did. And as you well know, and it's been remarkable. I feel better. I've lost weight that I didn't think that I would ever get down to again, and probably weight that I hadn't had since I was in my 20s and early 30s.
Wow.
So 35, 40 years ago.
Wow.
So, and just feeling better, stronger, working out all the time. It's like I have the stamina now that I didn't have before. We're eating healthy and enjoying what we eat as healthy adults.
Yeah, I would imagine it also was helpful to know it wasn't miserable, because you kind of alluded to that. Like, if she was doing this, but it was, say, some crazy HCG diet or something where she wasn't eating, or she was eating super bland foods, and then you were eating foods that were like, this isn't good, you probably wouldn't have been as open. Maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but I'd
No,
imagine
you're
that made a
exactly right.
difference.
If this would have been you're going on a vegetable and fruit diet, it would have been, okay, well, you might as well just kill me now, because there's no way that I'm not a fruit eater. I like vegetables, certain vegetables. But if I have to do that, or eat things that just really almost to the point of disgust me because they have no flavor at all, it's like, forget it. I can't do that. Find a different way.
Totally.
Well, and you think about Jackie too. I want to point this out, and there's nothing. Lindsay and I don't have anything against GLP-1s or people who use medication to lose weight. We have plenty of clients who we support in that process. I have many myself. That's like, hey, okay, that's part of the process. But even when you think about the power of your decision, Jackie, right? Like at the beginning, because that was one of the things you were thinking about, you most likely wouldn't have influenced Ken, right? Because it's like he would have seen it as, oh yeah, she's taking weight loss medication, and yeah, your behaviors might have changed along the way, but it wouldn't have been this team element. And I think that what I would hear through all of this is that you guys were in a lot of stress and tension, and there wasn't a lot of love, not just in the relationship, but just in general. Like there was a lot of stress, tension, frustration, and then Jackie, by choosing to, quite frankly, love yourself enough to change, you brought more love into the situation. And it sounds like, Ken, you brought a lot of love. And then this whole experience hasn't been one of friction or frustration. It's actually been one of bringing more love and passion and excitement into your life. That's what I hear. But what would you mirror back in that regard to think of like the current emotional state you guys live in consistently?
Yeah, if not burnout, where are we?
We're in a much better state. Our communication, not only in business, but just in our marriage, has completely improved. I mean, majorly improved. Our attitudes towards each other has completely improved in both business and in marriage. I mean, I feel like we're just like naturally happy. And we're with each other all day, every day. Whether we're on appointments or, at the office. I mean, there's times that you're doing your thing and I'm doing mine, but I mean, we really got to love each other a lot to be with each other all day, every day. And I mean, and it right now compared to before, now it's nice. I mean, we're happy to see each other, and we're happy to sit down and discuss those designs and let our passion flow through to those designs. But the communication, though, I would say is probably the best. And we're making time now too. We've learned that we can't just wing it, that we need to schedule, okay, when are we going to sit down and discuss these designs? And then we make that happen.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Huge.
maybe, let's sit down over dinner and let's discuss these designs. Or we'll time block throughout the day, to have just our meetings, so then
Yeah.
we're on the same page with customers and what needs to be done. And that never happened before. It's just like we're now looking at the business with new eyes, and it's just
Mm.
such a good feeling.
Beautiful.
Awesome. And
Yeah.
speaking of business, so how has having this energy or this happiness, this positivity, how has it changed your workflow or your dynamic with your team? Like what has changed? What have you noticed?
Well, for me, I think we just have better attitudes, going into every single day. I think I mentioned before, we're not just reactive, but we're proactive. If there's a crew slipping with something, we used to, well, let's just kind of wait and see. We don't have the time or energy to deal with it. But now, I mean, we deal with it immediately. And that's the same with, if we have a difficult customer that we're working with, it's like, oh, let's just wait and see. I don't have the energy to work on them right now, and now it's like, no, let's nip this in the bud and let's have that conversation,
Yeah.
with the customer so everybody's on the same page and we can keep moving. But I think it's just, yeah, do you want to add to
Well,
that?
it's an attitude change because it used to bug me. I mean, every little thing that went wrong during the day is, why is this happening? Why is this happening to me? Why do I have to be the one to deal with this right now? This is ridiculous. And now it's like, no, I'm going to deal with this right now. Yeah, it's stressful, but it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I've only got a few more hours. I'm going to deal with it. It's no big deal. And so my attitude has changed. And then as well to our employees, because I'm more open to them. When one of them would call in sick in the morning, it's like, oh my, are you kidding me? Why are you sick? I'm mad at them for being sick. It's like, now
Seriously,
it's
yeah.
like, oh, now I'm replying to their text early in the morning that they're not going to be in that day with, oh, I really hope you get better. Please keep us informed. Is there anything that you need? Is there anything that you can't get? Do you have any family here to help you? And so now we're
Wow.
helping our employees. So I think they've probably seen a difference. It's hard to say, but I feel better. Jackie feels better. And I think they notice that.
Sounds like you guys have made a conscious decision to be better leaders.
Very true.
Regardless, it's like starting with yourself, leading your marriage, now leading your team. And that's felt even if it's not, you're not getting the feedback. It sounds like you actually are, because if they're saying thank you.
And if we're not, if they're not quitting,
Yeah.
'cause you had mentioned that there was a lot of
Challenges.
turnover, a lot of challenges with keeping people, and I mean that's top down in some sense.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What has been the greatest surprise or like the greatest win so far? Like if you were to celebrate, like, hey, this is all the things that are going this way. What do you think has been the celebration, the win, or just something that you said like, hey, I didn't expect this, but this has really been the benefit of doing this together?
Well, I think I would personally say it's our relationship. It's our relationship with our business, the personal relationship, obviously. I mean, I can celebrate the win that, great, I'm in a weight that I haven't been for 30 years. I'm putting on muscle. I feel great. I'm running now, which I've never, ever, ever run before.
Crazy.
But I know what it takes in order to maintain that health. So I can celebrate those wins, but the big win is that we're doing this together.
Amen.
Love that.
Yeah, I have to agree.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I would say, as I starting to wind down a little bit with this conversation and your journey, I want to ask this in a way that's going to speak to the burnt out business owner who's not connecting, that if you prioritize your health or yourself, things will get better. So if you were looking back at the totally burnt out Ken and Jackie, the people who were just so in the work, in the stress, they couldn't see beyond it. And maybe they didn't even think about their health, or it wasn't a conscious, like, oh, if I'm healthy, things are going to get better, right? Because that connection's not there. What would you say? How would you impart the wisdom that if you take care of you, things will have a ripple effect? How would you guys say that?
Think for me, it, looking back like to a year ago, a year and a half ago, there's no way that I could have anticipated the major positive changes that I'm experiencing now. And, I knew I just needed to move more, but I kept telling I had all the excuses. I didn't have time, and I didn't have the energy, and I didn't have the capacity to do so. But looking back, it makes all the difference. I mean, all the difference. And it's not that you have to stress yourself out trying to find the time. The time comes when you make yourself a priority. I mean, the time is there. I realized how much I was scrolling through Facebook just because I didn't want to have to deal with some work. Well, I don't have to doom scroll. That's a perfect time to exercise. And then even just how much better you feel with just proper nutrition without major changes. It's not hard. It's not like you're going on a rabbit food diet. Like Ken mentioned, the food we eat is good. But if you can just take those first steps to really start prioritizing yourself, and what we say is lead ourselves first, I mean, the change is going to happen.
It's almost
I
inevitable.
mean, the vast majority of small business owners deal with somebody, whether it be a supplier, an employee, a customer, whatever it might be. Very few of them get to just do what they do and only involve themselves. So I looked at it that how could I possibly help that customer, help that employee, help one of our suppliers if I don't first help myself? And so if everybody had that attitude, and they're unhealthy right now, is if you're helping yourself, you will easily better help all of your customers and those that you deal with on a regular basis.
That's beautiful, because the biggest shift is the belief.
Right.
If the belief shifts, everything else comes after. And sometimes you do need to take action first and have a little faith, right? A little faith in the process. Like you said, you couldn't have predicted this. But if they're hearing from you and they know themselves to think, well, I hear oxygen mask first, but I don't believe it. It's like, well, maybe you actually just need to believe that.
Well, I think it's getting out of fear. I think that when you're in that season where your business,
scarcity,
you're in scarcity, and it's like, oh my gosh, like if this is what's happening in the business right now, and I'm already feeling this way, well, I can't take more time because da da da. But it's realizing that if you are in a state where you are stressed physiologically, right, you are constantly under stress. You're drinking wine, you're not sleeping, you're bringing a version of you to every problem that you're facing, and the state you're in when you're solving a problem affects how you solve it, right? It affects the outcome. It affects the way you're doing it. And so you start to see, like Jackie, like you noted, like when you start taking care of yourself, you see that you have more time. You see that you're more resourceful. And I think that's one of the key pieces. I wanted to pin it down here too for couples. For people, maybe they're not in business with each other. Maybe they're just hearing this and they're like, oh, I honestly think that it makes it easier when you're in business together. It's hard being in business together, but it's easier to change as a unit because you've already decided to be a unit. It's hard, and you spend so much time together. Like I tell Lindsay, like the blessing for us, and you guys probably feel this way too, is, I don't only have 2 hours to see you at the end of the day. Right. And so I'm very mindful of the challenges that come with this, but also the huge benefit, which is, hey, you didn't go off to work all day and then come back, and I only had 2 hours. So I wanted to sit down and eat ice cream with you. I got to see you all day and we got to go for a walk, right? But just generally speaking for couples, what advice would you give them on doing this together, on getting healthy together, of making your health a priority inside the marriage or inside the relationship, maybe how to approach it, how to think about it? What advice would you give them?
I would say that it definitely deepens the relationship, improves the relationship. Ken and I love going for walks, the conversations that we have. And, maybe that walk is, the conversation during that walk is business related. And we plan that. Maybe we're getting ready to go for a walk and it's like, let's not talk business this time, and we're talking about the grandkids or the new house or, family. And it just has completely deepened our relationship to a point that in the past I didn't think that our relationship really would have gotten that strong and that deep, I guess. And looking back, I mean, we were just barely surviving.
True.
Yeah.
Mm.
But if you have the opportunity, I mean, it's just like, just go for it. I mean, I wouldn't change a thing. The only thing I would change is doing it a lot sooner than what we did.
Right, right.
I
Always.
mean, it's commitment. I mean, if you've made that commitment to be a couple in whatever form that might be, this is just an added level of commitment. And doing it together, I mean, boy, I got to admit, and I don't know that I ever shared with Jackie, that when she started talking about what change she was going to make, and she started talking about the weight loss drugs possibly, and I got to admit, when she first started talking about it, I'm thinking, oh yeah, you go for that, because now we're going to get back to, I can eat peanut M&Ms all day long, and I can stop and do more of my drive-throughs. I can get my breakfast sausage in the morning, and then I'm thinking, that's not the right attitude. There's got to be something that we're doing together, and that made a huge difference. It was just that commitment to doing it together. When I finally came on board, we work out together now.
Oh,
She
cool.
she may get home a little bit earlier than I. She'll start the workout, but then we finish the workout together.
Right.
It's the runs, it's the walks together, it's the eating together, and eating healthy and enjoying it.
Yeah.
And what I want to highlight for people, because it's easy to hear that you put all this emphasis on health, but what I want to mirror back for anyone who's hearing this is you actually put the emphasis on your marriage. You put the emphasis on your relationship. And I think that is actually the key piece, is we're actually doing this because it makes our marriage better. Yeah, I feel better. And there's like all these benefits that each person comes to. And Jackie, I know that your journey really started as, I need a change for me. But then if you just hearing the story, what's actually been the core focus is building a healthier marriage. And I want to have people hear that, because they sometimes think like, oh, well, we got to start eating healthy. And it becomes this thing that they actually feel like is taking away from the marriage. Right. Because like, oh, well, we used to go out and eat and we used to do all this fun stuff together. And now we're just like, oh, we don't do that. But you guys have found ways to actually make it about, like I said this again, love and having more connection and spending time together and doing this thing that is fruitful for your marriage. And I wanted to make that point because that might not seem obvious.
Well, the attitude matters massively.
Yeah.
And you guys have mentioned attitude multiple times throughout this conversation. And you could have a couple who's doing the same things and not, as Ken said, not enjoying it. And the only difference is, yes, some of the strategy, of course, our approach is realistic, right? All those things. But it's also that you've chosen to bring joy. Like you've chosen to enjoy the process, enjoy the dinners, enjoy the workouts together. And that is a personal choice that both of you maybe have consciously or unconsciously made. But it's very evident that attitude has made a huge difference.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
Awesome.
So then where can people who are in Lincoln, Nebraska or in close areas,
Or if they need a consultation like we needed.
yeah, get in contact with you to get support with, building a lovely walkway like Lindsay and I did, or making sure that their landscaping looks at the quality that they want? Where can they really find you and connect with you?
Well, we are Luxury Landscape. We have a website, and we have an office manager who answers the phone throughout the day. They can text also. But also on our website, we have a web chat. So if they just want to send a text through the web chat, then somebody gets back with them immediately. It's either myself or our office manager, Alan.
Excellent.
And what's the website? Is it just Luxury Landscape, or what's the?
Yes, it's luxurylandscape-llc.com.
Okay, Awesome.
Make sure we link that below. Excellent. Well, guys, thank you so much for imparting your wisdom and sharing. It's been beautiful to watch both of you grow and change. But now I understand a layer of depth that I did not before, which is just how joyful you both have become. And that is a beautiful thing. So congratulations.
Thank you.
But we've got great mentors. Thank you very much, the two of you.
So it's an honor and a privilege, and you guys have given us so much to learn from too. So I really appreciate just how much you've been showing up, what you've done, and trusting us with the process. It's an incredible joy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good stuff.
Thank you.
And for those of you who are watching or listening, please do us a favor and comment below if you're on YouTube, or leave us a review if you're on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and tell us what you loved about this episode, what you learned from it. If you're going to share it, maybe share it with your partner or share it with somebody who needs to hear this perspective in this episode. But until then, please take this information, go out and conquer your day.
Cheers.